Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a Valentine's builder gel design using the Kiki London Easy Build Up Gel. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now starting off, I'm going to be using my rubber base, and I just wanted to show in this video that you can also use the rubber coloured bases underneath your Easy Build Up Gel. I've had this question a couple of times on Instagram and in comments and things like that. So I just thought I'd show you guys it makes absolutely no difference what base coat you use underneath the Easy Build Up Gel. You can use any of the Kiki London base coats. I quite like using the rubber coloured bases underneath the pink Easy Build Up Gels because it just changes their colour ever so slightly. So for this design, technically I could have used the clear rubber base on all of the nails, but I opted to use the RB02 just to show you guys what it looks like under the neutral pink Easy Build Up Gel. So all I'm doing is applying a thin coat of these rubber bases to all of the nails. I apply the clear rubber base exactly the same way as the coloured rubber base. There's no difference when it comes to application. So as you can see, I've applied a thin coat of that to all of the nails, and we're going to pop those in to cure for 30 seconds. If you wanted more of that pink to show through, you could come in with a second coat, but it wouldn't necessarily be necessary when you're using the Easy Build Up Gel. Now on to the first nail, I'm taking the Crystal Clear Easy Build Up Gel. This is a builder gel in a bottle. It has a medium viscosity, and personally I absolutely love working with it. You may find that whilst it's very cold, your builder gel is a little bit on the thicker side. So sometimes I will just hold my bottles for a few minutes before application, but I didn't do that today and I still found it easy to work with. So starting off on this design, we have our base coat down and cured, and then I've come in with a thin layer of the Crystal Clear Easy Build Up Gel. And whilst that's still wet, I'm going to just set down some of these chunky glitter heart sequins. And as you can see, I'm using my gem tool for this. Usually I would use a brush, but it's actually a lot easier to use the dotting and gem tool. As you can see, it picks up the glitter pieces really easily, and I can use the dotting tool end to move them around in the gel. Now on the two nails that we're going to do first, I wanted to have a crystal clear nail design. We are going to end up matte top coating them, but I wanted to show you guys how amazing the Crystal Clear Easy Build Up Gel is for clear encapsulation. One, it's very easy to work with, and two, the clarity is out of this world. So all I'm doing to start off with though here is getting those hearts down in place, and because you're placing them down in the uncured gel, you can move them around as much as you want to. They're not going to dry or set in place until you pop them in your lamp. So I'm just making sure I'm happy with how they are all placed on the nail. I wanted to make sure there was a lot more coverage down at that cuticle area, and then they fade out and I'm leaving the tip of the nail with no hearts. Once we're happy with how they're placed, I pop them in to cure for 60 seconds, and we now need to come in and encapsulate. So to encapsulate, I'm applying a slip layer to begin with. So this is a thin layer of gel that we're going to apply to the entire nail. And when I'm working with my slip layer, this is where I'm getting a nice neat cuticle line, getting it nice and neat around those side walls. And also, because we're encapsulating chunky glitters, I'm making sure that this layer of gel really gets around those chunky edges of the glitter. Then we're going to leave that slip layer wet, and we're going to pick up a medium ball of gel. And then as you can see here, I'm kind of rolling it off my brush, just taking my time. I'm going very slow with the product. I have sped up the video, but slowly I'm taking that product from side to side. Now what's going to happen is your builder layer is going to follow where you've put your slip layer. So when you are applying your slip layer, you need to make sure that you don't get any on the skin or cuticles, because your builder gel layer will follow. But having that slip layer down just guides your builder gel layer into place, and where it is a thicker layer of gel, it just makes it a lot easier. So as you can see, I walked it down to the very tip of the nail, and it self-levels absolutely beautifully. As you can see here, just look how smooth this is. and it has encapsulated those hearts beautifully as well. And as you can see, it is crystal clear. So I'm going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds and we're going to move on to the next nail. Now we're doing a very similar with this design. So again, we've already got our rubber base cured. And then I'm going to come in with a thin layer of the crystal clear. This layer is to simply set your hearts down in. Now, if you was working on longer nails, I would advise to do one thin layer like this, cure it, and then do these steps, just so you've got an additional layer underneath for that thickness. Now on this nail, like I said, we're doing very similar, but I'm just going to be placing the hearts coming down the center of the nail rather than keeping them all up in the cuticle area. So I'm just, again, picking them up using the wax end of the gem tool. And then I'm just going to, if I need to, move them into place using that dotting tool end. And I just actually found it a lot easier, like I said, to do it this way than using my brush, because the hearts didn't stick to my gem tool as much as they normally would to a brush. Then once we've got those all in place, we're going to cure for 60 seconds and come in and encapsulate. So once again, we're applying that slip layer. If you was applying this on yourself or a client, you can use your detail brush maybe to get closer to the cuticle area if you wanted to get a nice neat cuticle line. A lot of the time it depends on the nail beds I'm working with, but you just need to make sure that you don't get any on the skin or cuticles. If you do get any of your gel products on the skin, just make sure to remove it with a little bit of alcohol before curing. So now we're going to come in with that builder gel layer. So I'm taking a medium-sized ball, and as you can see, I'm just wriggling it and rolling it from my brush. What's going to happen is that slip layer is going to pull it off of your brush, and then you're able to just walk it and guide it from side to side down the nail. When I'm doing this on myself, I will tilt the nail downwards ever so slightly so that gravity helps pull it into place. Now on this nail, I didn't quite have enough to fully encapsulate the nail. So I did walk it all the way down to the tip, but at that very tip, it was a little bit thin. So I'm going to come in with another ball of gel, place it down just where it starts to get too thin so it can blend back into the previous gel, and then just walk that down to the tip. And you can see it wasn't as even, but after a few seconds, it will self-level. When you are working with your crystal clear, you want to make sure that you're working nice and slowly so that you're not putting any additional bubbles into the product. So you want to make sure that you don't stir it, you don't shake it, kind of just pick it up very carefully on your brush and work with it very slowly. Like I said, the video was sped up, but I really like to take my time just to make sure I'm not adding any bubbles. If you do get any bubbles, you could pop these with either your detail brush or your dotting tool before popping them in to cure. Now on the next nail, I'm going to start off with, I've got my RB02 rubber base down and cured. So we're coming in with the Kiki London Easy Build Up Gel in neutral pink. Now this is kind of a glassy transparent pink depending on how you work with it and how thick you use it, but having that rubber color base color down underneath really makes the pink pop. So if you want your neutral pink to look a little bit more opaque, you could definitely pop down one of the colored bases like I did here to give it a bit more color. Now on this now, I want to do a encapsulated marble. So I've done one layer of neutral pink and I've actually cured that layer, and then I'm going to create my marble on my palette. So here I've got blood orange, French pink and deep rouge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop all three of these colors down on my palette. And the reason I wanted to encapsulate this marble in the builder gel is because I want to add in some of those chunky hearts, and these are much better encapsulated rather than being on the surface of the nail. So what I'm going to do is I'm popping those three colours down, making sure that they touch each other, that there's no gaps between the colours because this can affect your marble. Couldn't get my words out then. But you do want to make sure that you are not getting any of the previous colour on your brush. So always check your brush before you pop it back in your bottle. Once I've got those three colours down on my palette, I'm going to marble them together. So I'm taking my dotting tool again and just pulling through those three colours. Now the French pink is a transparent pink, and I really liked that because it helped blend the two colours together. I wanted quite a subtle marble. I didn't want it to look too defined, if that makes sense. So depending on the effect you're going for, if I'd have wanted a more defined marble, rather than using the French pink, I would have come in with a more transparent pink. So play around with marbles. You can create so many amazing designs with them. It's just about experimenting. So as you see there, I did pop down a layer of the blooming gel, and I've left this wet, and we're going to pick up those colours using the Kiki London round nail art brush and just gently place them down into that uncured blooming gel. This is going to help those colours marble and merge together a little bit more. And again, it's going to give us that more softer marble effect. So as you can see, I'm picking up the the gel polish, and I'm not flipping my brush over. So as you see, I scoop it up and then I keep the gel on the top side of the brush. This way you've got a lot more control over how much you're floating on the nail. I've recently found it's a lot easier to do a marble this way. And I want this design to fully cover the nail. I wanted it to be a full marble design. And as you can see here, it looks so pretty. From a distance, it does kind of just look like a red nail. But when you look at it up close, you can see all of those orangey and clear swooshes in it. And I absolutely love it. And then whilst that marble is still wet, so whilst that gel polish is still uncured, we're just going to pop down a couple of little hearts. And then you'll see there, I just wiped off some excess that was running off the nail. Please only do this if you are wearing gloves. You don't want to get any uncured gel polish on your skin. So if you don't wear gloves, you're always welcome to use maybe an alcohol wipe or a brush instead to wipe those side walls. Then once we had cured that, we need to come in and encapsulate. So I'm going to encapsulate very similar to how I did before, starting off with a thin slip layer, and then we're going to come in with a more medium-sized ball of gel and just encapsulate everything in and build up the strength and structure of the nail. So on the heart nails, I talked a lot about encapsulating due to the heart, so we were encapsulating for that reason. But you're also encapsulating to build up the strength and structure of the nails, especially if you're doing a build gel set with tips or sculpting. So you want to make sure that you're building up the thickness to build up the strength of the nail. So you want to make sure that you've got majority of your product in the back third and down the spine of the nail. With your apex area, you should start off with a nice neat cuticle, and then it should rise ever so slightly and build up the apex, and then keep that rise coming down through the spine of the nail, and then it's going to taper off to give you a nice thin tip. So whilst that's curing, we're going to move on to the last nail in the design, and this is going to be just a simple builder gel nail, and then we're going to come in with gel polish colour on top. Usually if I'm putting gel polish colour on top, I will use one of the coloured shades, either the neutral pink or the sweet rose, just so that I've got colour down. It helps your gel polish colour to pop. You can still build up the nail with your crystal clear if you would prefer. Just it is personal preference. I find it easier to build with a colour and if I'm going to be applying a gel polish on top. So I'm doing very similar to when we encapsulated. I've got my base coat down and cured. I've then applied my thin slip layer, and then I'm coming in with my builder gel layer. So you can see I've left a lot of that product in the back third to build up that apex area, and then I've walked it down to the tip of the nail. I'm just flipping the nail upside down so that speeds up the self-leveling process, and then we're going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds. If you wanted it to be thicker, you could come in with a second layer of gel and repeat those steps. But of course, this does depend on the length of nails that you're working on. These are quite medium length if you took into account if there was a natural nail and then the tip. So I didn't want to build up too much thickness. Now we've finished our builder gel work. We're going to come in, give the nails a wipe with some alcohol to remove that tacky inhibition layer, and then we're going to move on to filing. So I'm taking my 100 grit rectangular file. These are new files from Kiki London, and they are amazing for getting a really sharp, crisp shape. Now the builder gel does file very quickly, so using a 100 grit file does speed up the process as well. So as you see, a few swipes there and I'd perfected the shape. I just brought it in a little bit to a more pointed shape and also just evened out the edges so that they're nice and sharp. And then if I'm happy with my application, I won't file the surface of the nail. I will just come over, first of all, with the 100 grit side of my buffer and smooth everything out. It's going to even out any lumps or bumps that you might still have. And then I like to come over with the 180 grit side just to smooth out any of the scratches that might be left behind from the coarser grit side of the file. Now, of course, if you're not 100% happy with your Builder Gel application, if it's looking a little bit uneven, or if you're just not 100% happy of how it's looking, you can come in and file the surface of the nails instead of buffing, but just be very careful because, like I said, it does file down quickly. Once you have finished all your filing and buffing, you want to make sure that you give the nails a good clean, like I did there, to remove all of the dust. Now on this nail, I do need to finish off. So I'm going to be finishing off with blood orange, which is a gorgeous red-y orange colour. I thought this colour matched my little hearts perfectly. Although they are listed as red hearts, they have like a more orange amber tone to them. And this colour just suited them beautifully. So I'm going to come in over that Builder Gel and just apply one coat of this. Normally I do 2 coats of my gel polish, but having that pink base down really allowed this colour to pop. So I didn't feel as though it needed a second coat because the colour was even, it looked fully opaque and I was happy with it. So I just did the 1 coat of this and cured it for 30 seconds. And then this is what our finished result looks like. All we need to do is come in and top coat. So as you see, I have 2 top coats here. I have the no wipe top coat, which is a glossy top coat, and I have the no wipe matte top coat. And that's because I actually wanted the 2 crystal clear nails to have a matte finish because I really love that clouded sunken heart look. So I'm going to take the no wipe top coat and we're going to pop that on the marble nail and the blood orange nail. So I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this to the nails. As you see, keeping it nice and thin. We don't need to add any thickness. And the other reason I opted to use the no wipe top coat is because this is a thinner consistency product. I'm not encapsulating anything in on the surface of the nail because everything's being encapsulated in the Builder Gel. So you don't necessarily need to use your rubber top coat at this step. And then on these 2 nails, I've used the matte top coat. So as you can see, the matte top coat goes on glossy, and then once it's cured, it's going to make the nails go back to looking that matte effect, which I absolutely loved for these 2 nails. I loved the effect that it gave over the hearts, and I really love a clear matte nail. But let me know in the comments below if you preferred these 2 nails matte or glossy. Once we had popped those 2 top coats in to cure, this was the finished result. And I just really loved the combination of using both of those top coats. So I hope you all enjoyed today's design. As always, all of the products I've used are listed in the description box below, as well as a link to the Kiki London website. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.